Goodness gracious. Okay, okay, okay. Go do something, girlfriend. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa if you're new here. This is going to be part 2 of my import series. I did an unboxing recently and I will link that video up here for you guys if you have not seen it. I did a recent import from Greenhaus and I'm really excited for these plants. We are outside for this video because my imports have been chilling outside in this humid savanna air, which is really helping them acclimate instead of just like trying to provide extra humidity through like a humidifier. I feel like why not just leave them outside where it's like 80–90% humidity, and the light here where out back isn't too bright, so it's kind of somewhat shaded, which I feel like is ideal for these, not getting super intense like bright harsh light. Yeah, I just kind of want to take you through my process and the next steps since getting these imports, and I want to show you a little bit of this rehab process. So like I said, this is on day 3 of the imports, and when I first got the imports, the plants were really dehydrated. The leaves and stuff were thin, there was like yellowing, and they really like needed to be rehydrated. After the last video ended, I ended up rinsing the roots off and sticking them into a container of tap water. And I have all the imports right here and a container here. So I will show you an example. So I put all my imports into a plastic cup with water. After the second day, so after the first day passed, I noticed immediately the leaves were becoming like rehydrated. They're bouncy, they're perky. You can just tell they're doing it better. So the second day I ended up changing the water and adding a drop of Superthrive. And if you're not familiar with Superthrive, it just helps plants like recover from shock and just gives them a little extra bit of nutrients. So I added that in the water the second day, which was yesterday, just to give them a little extra oomph, I guess, you know, a little bit of nutrient support. Yeah, I did that. I haven't cut anything off on any of these plants. I have a lot of like browning and yellowing leaves, which is completely normal. And I do have some roots that, you know, are a little bit rotted. So we're gonna clean these up a little bit. I have 6 plants here. I may not do all of them on camera just to save time because it's going to be the same process. And I'm actually going to be potting them into separate containers of perlite here. So this is just Perlite by Miracle-Gro. This here, you can get this at any big box store location here. And I just rinsed the perlite in water. Nothing else is added to this. I just rinsed off like the dust and stuff. And perlite is very fine. This Miracle-Gro is very fine perlite. I don't want to go straight into soil. I just feel like this perlite's going to help them transition a little bit better. And it'll also give the roots a little bit more time to heal and grow new roots. And I think this will really help them acclimate and reduce that shock period a little bit more instead of just going, you know, straight into soil. And I have new containers here. I recycle a lot of my plastic cups, and so I poked holes in these so that oxygen can get into this container. And so when I go to water the perlite, the excess water will drain straight out, and I can keep an eye on the roots using a clear container. So I am just like a firm believer in oxygenation and letting my roots breathe. I just prefer really chunky aerated soil mix, and I would rather water a bit more heavily, more frequently than letting my soil or whatever sit wet for too long. We're also going to be cutting off dead leaves. I'm going to be cleaning between like each, you know, cut that I do. I'm not propagating, I'm just going to remove some dead leaves. I left a lot of the dead leaves on because I wanted the plant to use up all the energy as much as it could from the remaining leaves before I just like got rid of them. If they come off easily, then I'll go ahead and take them off. But if they're pretty brown and, you know, they just need like a little extra help getting cut off, I'll just cut them off. But I'm not propagating anything. I don't want to induce any more stress. I may cut a little bit of the rotted roots off, and I imagine I'm going to have like more browning. I'm going to have more rotted roots, but new roots will grow. New like healthy white firm roots will grow. into the perlite while like they're waiting to be potted up. I'm gonna let these sit in perlite for about a week and go from there. After that, I will be potting them into a chunky soil mix with a lot of added like nutrients, you know, from that soil to help the plant recover. So this is just alcohol. It's 70% isopropyl alcohol. So I just dumped a little bit on my tissue here and then just wiped my shears just to clean off anything. So up first, we'll do this one. This is my variegated Adansonii. And some of these leaves have like, you know, the rotted edges here. And you can see this new growth is already getting ready to pop. And this is just one vine, and it does have a pretty good root system. There's a little bit of rotted roots on this one. I'm eventually probably going to propagate this to have like maybe a full pot, or I will just like stake this one up. I'm not sure eventually what I'm gonna do, but we're gonna get rid of the water that he was in. And I have a new cup for him. And again, these ones I poked holes in the bottom of the plastic for airflow. Is any of these roots here that are a bit rotted, I'm just going to cut above just a little bit. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for that. All right, so let's dig into the perlite. I forgot to get a scoop for the perlite. I put about that much in here, and we're gonna stick this down in here, and you just want to make sure that all the roots get covered. This is very light and fluffy, very, very breathable. So that moisture wicking up from the perlite is going to keep the roots hydrated. Now the perlite will dry out, and you know, I'll just make sure to give these guys a water as soon as I feel like the perlite is drying. I want to keep it, you know, somewhat moist. I don't want the roots to dry out at all. I'm deciding to go with perlite here because I feel like I can keep an eye on the roots a little bit better using perlite, and it'll be easier to water. I don't know, I'm just choosing to do perlite is kind of my reasoning behind it. And you can see like how good this plant looks and how like perky he's gotten already just being out here in the humidity. So yeah, he is done, and I'm actually going to cut the brown tips off of this one. Just want to make sure to clean my shears again. So that is done. Looks so much better. You wouldn't even think that this would be an import. But this leaf we may eventually end up getting rid of too. We'll see how it does. But I do expect some of these yellowing leaves to continue yellowing. It's just a normal process. You know, these plants went through so much. This one, it was the Monstera Esqueleto. This leaf I'm gonna cut off. It's pretty much yellowing down to the stem. And then I'm gonna leave this yellow leaf on until it yellows all the way. And then it has 3 like pretty good ones. And this one has definitely perked up so much. So I will do this one off camera just because we did the Adansonii and it's pretty similar. The Anthurium you can see is a bit, these bottom leaves are a bit like wrinkling and yellowing, but the 2 top ones are still like very healthy looking. They're very perky. This plant has a ton of roots. So yeah, I feel like he's gonna do well. The Scindapsus has really perked up. These leaves are so like hydrated and look so much healthier. And then some of these ones on the bottom have yellowed, so I'll be cutting those off. And some of the new growth here was yellow, but I'll probably leave these on the plant until they look. If they look yellow and crispy like this, I'm gonna get rid of them. And then the Milano here was definitely the saddest. All these leaves are dying. I'm gonna peel all those off. And so we're literally just gonna be left with a stick with this top one here. So I'll probably do this one with you just because it is the saddest, and then I'll show you them all at the end. So the Florida Beauty here was the healthiest one, I feel like, out of the bunch. One of the smaller leaves did yellow off and die already. This new growth here is unfurling, and it looks to be all green maybe. I don't know if I see any variegation yet. It looks like this plant was cut right here. And so this is a new node that's growing green. They probably sold that to someone else. Makes me very sad. So again, a lot of healthy roots on this one. I don't see too many rotted roots, a little bit there on the bottom. This bottom leaf is yellowing a bit, but I'm gonna leave him on longer. Same process. Take another one of our cups, and we're gonna cut a little bit of the, sometimes you can just pull at the roots, and if they pull like right off, then you can get rid of them. The roots are still going to continue rotting after it transitions, you know, to the perlite mixture. So we'll be pulling more rotted roots off before we put into the actual soil. Again, I'm not cutting too much off because I don't want to stress the plant. Anything that I see is obviously rotted. So there's that. Okay, this one's done. You can kind of see the roots in there. I can keep an eye on them there. We have 4 left. I'll either do 1 or 2 more on camera. It's just going to be the same process. And yeah, let's do this Scindapsus. So for this, again, a lot of like healthy roots. Some are rotted. And so these leaves, yeah, that one came right off. This one came right off. And that's all I'm gonna take. Even though these 2 leaves are yellowing, I'm gonna leave them on just, you know, in case they still provide energy for the plant. Yeah, and look how much this has bounced back. I'm just like really impressed with how much it's like gotten rehydrated. So we're gonna cut off a little bit of the rot. If you take your fingers like this, anything that comes like right off is all rotted. But it's going to grow new roots, so it's okay. Okay, so that's that. This one has a little bit of a smaller root system, and I don't have too many bigger cups left. So we're gonna use, yeah, we'll use this one. There is that one. That is all done. And again, I will probably eventually propagate this so I can have a more full pot. There is some new growth here. There's like 2 nodes, so this is 1 node that has a new growth. And again, this plant was cut right here. So that was probably sold. And from that being cut, there's a new growth point here and then a new growth point here. So for this one, I'm basically just gonna be pulling all the leaves off, and I'm just gonna have one huge stick, I think. And a lot of the roots on this one are rotted. All right, so let me clean my shears again. Any of these leaves that come right off, we're just gonna peel off. So this plant was cut here. You can see where they had taken a cut. So I just have a 1 long stick with the leaf on top. So I imagine a lot of these roots are going to just melt away. The stem is a little bit squishy, not too squishy. I used to have a Milano a long time ago, and they're a little bit of a pickier plant. It's not like a hybrid, so they're a little bit more difficult to care for, in my opinion. Yeah, even though there's a lot more rot on this one, I think this plant just has some dark roots to begin with, but I'm just gonna leave that and put it into perlite. That'll be my plan. I'm gonna end up propagating this whole thing, but for now, I'm gonna be sticking this into perlite to get this root system a bit stronger. My leg is getting numb, there we go. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use the smaller pot for this one. So that will look so funny. And we have 2 more, so it's gonna be the same process. I'm gonna do these other 2 just off camera just to save time so this video isn't like so long and repetitive, and then I will come back on and show you the rest of the plants and what they all look like, and I'm gonna set them back in their spot I'm gonna leave them in the perlite for about a week or so and just see how the root system looks and how the plants are doing. That's the plan, so I will be back on here in just a bit. Everybody is finished here. I don't know if you can see them all that well. So with the big Monstera Esqueleto, I left this yellowing leaf off, and this one here is a bit yellow, which they'll probably continue to yellow. The Anthurium, I cut 2 of the ugly leaves off so that they have the 2 pretty ones left. And then you guys saw the rest of these. And I'm gonna leave these out here for about a week, like I said, and check the roots out. And I'll keep you updated if there's any other like updates or changes. I will definitely let you know. Hey guys, it is day 6 since I last updated you. So today is Thursday, and I last did the update on Friday last week. So it's been 6 days, and I got the plants Monday of last week. So it's been almost a week and a half, 10 days or so since I first got these plants. And I am probably ready to move these into soil soon. I'm gonna check the root system out on a few of these just to see what it's looking like. And I'll probably film part 3 of this video here soon and take you guys on that process of actually potting them up. I have all of them behind me here. These are all the beauties, and they're all doing really well. The only thing I did, which I didn't film, was I had to give more water to the perlite because I noticed some of the leaves started to look droopy, and I'm like, well, that's weird. I didn't think I'd have to water them so soon, but the perlite was so dry. So I guess just the heat being out here in this like hot savanna weather dried out the perlite. So I did give them water about, I think it was like 2 days ago. So after about 4 days, they were like completely dry. So this is the Syndapsis, and I can't tell too much from the root system. Oh, I'm poking myself in the face. From this container. If it did grow new roots, I can't really see too many. The top growth here is a little bit, you know, oh, that one just came off. So yeah, getting rid of that one. And I do have new aerial roots that are starting to form just being out here in the humidity. And this is a new leaf that unfurled. So I think I might go ahead and propagate some of these now. That way when I get ready to pot them into soil, I can already have like new roots starting to form. I wasn't going to propagate so soon, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and propagate some of these because it's been about 10 days. I feel like they've pretty much acclimated pretty well, like for the most part. I know it's going to take probably several months before they finally stabilize, because when I moved here from North Carolina, like it took at least 4 to 6 weeks for my plants to kind of acclimate. So it is going to take quite a bit, longer for them. All right, I have a couple of these just clear containers, and we'll go ahead and do this Syndapsis. I just want to see what the root system is looking like and see if I have like any new root growth at all. Definitely still have a lot of rotted tips. I don't know if you guys can see. You can see a lot of the rot still coming off. So if they're not ready to pot up, if I don't feel like they have a good enough root system, I'm not going to pot them up yet. I rather would not pot up until I have like healthy roots starting to form. And I think that's just going to take time. I am just cutting off all this rot that I see. Yeah, I really don't see a lot of new root growth on this one at all. I have a tiny bit of root growth on this node here. But as far as what was in the perlite, I still don't have any new root growth on this one. So I am not going to be potting this one up quite yet. So I did cut off all the rotted roots here. Okay, hopefully that helps so you can kind of see more. I'm just going to keep this plant in here. Add this perlite back. I have kept these plants out here the whole time. I haven't like changed anything about their care. They've been out here in this savanna humidity, which they really do love. I just think it's really helping them acclimate. Probably should have got a towel or something. Perlite is so messy. One of the reasons I don't like using perlite is just so messy. Even though sphagnum moss is too, I just find perlite is just messier. I'm gonna clean my shears again. This is just the alcohol. And what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take a cutting from this. I think it's been enough time that I won't completely like stress the plant. I'm gonna cut this section here. I do have a lot of empty nodes right here, but I'm actually just gonna stick this whole thing down in here and it'll continue rooting. I should probably let this callus a little bit. I'll tell you what, I'll leave the cuttings out and I'll let them callus until I'm done checking all the root systems, then I'll plug them back in. And then at the end, I of course will show you everything that I've done. These leaves are providing energy for the plant, so anything that's like crispy that I don't like, I'll just cut off. And I'll probably propagate this plant some more, but for right now, I'm just gonna take that one cutting off. So that one's done. I was hoping I would have had some more root growth from them being in here 6 days. I guess they're still kind of acclimating. I just figured I'd have a little bit more new roots, but we'll see. We'll check a few more here. So this esqueleto, I can definitely tell I have some rotting roots. You can see that is like all rotted. And this leaf, you know, is still yellowing. This one's definitely going to go. This one hasn't really yellowed too much more, and then these two top ones seem relatively happy, and it seems to be doing well, so let's see. Oh, it's a long root. Do have a lot of new root growth up top. Do you see? Right here, I don't want to mess too much. That's a new root, and then there's a ton of white new roots on that part up top. And so a lot of this is rotted, old growth, old roots, so I'm probably going to go ahead and get rid of some of that rot. And my reasoning for not putting into soil right away is because these roots are going to continue to rot until like healthy new roots grow, and I don't want to have like a bunch of rotted roots into soil. I'd rather like them get roots from the perlite first. I'm gonna cut that root off. I have a little bit of healthy white root on that part right here. If you can see, there's a little bit of a healthy root growing on that. Yeah, anything that just slides off pretty easily, I'm just getting rid of. You can see another white healthy root right there on that one. And I'm choosing not to do water and hydrogen peroxide to soak the root system. I just feel like these roots are going to continue to rot anyway. I've dealt with root rot plenty in my like past experience, and plants that are stressed, they're going to continue to rot. So I just don't really find it necessary in this case to soak the roots. I'm just going to let the new roots grow, and they'll eventually, you know, be healthy. There is a lot of rot, but I'm very happy to see that root growth. Get rid of these rotted roots. You know, I should probably cut the roots in a different container, so that way I'm not like adding rot back into these containers. All right, I'm gonna add this back in here. And I don't want these plants to go too long without like any nutrients, you know, because they do have a root system, and this, you know, is a decent sized cutting, so I do want them to get some sort of nutrients. But with rotted roots, they aren't really going to take up nutrients, you know. So it's just important to regrow like new healthy roots so that they can be the ones to provide support for the plant. All right, I am happy with the progress of this one, and again, there's that. It's got 4 leaves. I do have new roots on this, so this one is doing very well. Sit him aside. I don't know how many of these I want to do on camera because I don't want this video to be super long, you know. So this is the variegated Adansonii. This one has continued to get a little bit sad, like this leaf is definitely going, which this one is the very bottom one. This one has continued to yellow and brown a little bit, and this top one has a little bit browning. This one was yellow already, and this is a new leaf it put out. I don't really count this one as a new leaf in my care because it was somewhat unfurling when I got it. So I'm counting that not as a new growth yet. And I do probably, I think, want to propagate this. I'm thinking about cutting it here, but I don't know if I want to do that for today. I haven't decided. Let's check the roots out. Okay, this one didn't have a lot of roots at all. I'm looking for new root growth. Yeah, I don't see any new root growth on this one yet, so this plant is not ready. Yeah, not too much rot, but I don't have any new root growth on this one, so I'm not going to propagate or do anything. Actually, since this leaf is going, it's going to come right off. See, I'm going to take that away. Yeah, I'm gonna let him root. All right, let's do the Florida Beauty next. I'm actually curious. I think I showed you that this leaf unfurled and it was reverted. It does have 2 other nodes. They just haven't like really grown anymore yet. Let's see. Can't tell if any new roots have grown on this one. This one, I see mostly a new fuzzy root. At the top, you can see it's right there. It's really the only new root growth I see. This root here, this long one, seems pretty healthy. So we are gonna let him root some more. So yeah, these plants definitely are not ready after about 6 days. So I imagine probably this time next week is when I'll be looking at maybe potting some of them up. Because again, I do want them to get, you know, some nutrients. They just need to build like a healthier root system first so that they can uptake the nutrients. I feel like the roots seem pretty good on this one. This thing had a very extensive root system. The leaf on this one, you know, a couple crispy tips on these 2 leaves, which isn't a big deal, you know, it's bound to happen. I'm hoping this one doesn't have any sort of like fungal or anything. Let's see this root system. Even though these roots look white, I feel like a lot of it is rotted. You can see a little bit of new roots forming up top where it had these like aerial roots that are growing down into the sphagnum, but I have a feeling a lot of this stuff is rotted. It's like gooing right off. Yeah. This one's kind of deceiving because the roots look white, you know? Yeah, this one had a lot of rot. That's surprising. But here at the end though, I do have like healthy roots at the end. You can see like they're new roots off of the main vine. So it has grown quite a bit of healthy root. So that's all that's left. I'm gonna get this guy potted back up. Yeah, he had a pile of dead roots. Look at all these dead roots. You always want to make an appearance while I'm filming. Loon, go on. Crazy. All right, that one is done. We have one more left. Okay, the next one is this Milano, which you guys know this is the one that has 1 leaf left. It is unfurling the new growth, but it's definitely damaged. You can kind of see it has a hole there in it. It has stayed pretty healthy. So I think for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and propagate this in hopes that while this is rooting, this bottom half, that more nodes will all of a sudden just activate out of here, and then I don't have to like completely chop it back, if that makes sense. So I think what I'm going to do is, I do have some aerial roots here that are wanting to form. And then this node, trying to think. I have multiple nodes that could potentially activate from chopping it. I think I'm gonna cut it here. It's done. So this is my top cut. I do have another node here that I could, which actually, let me go ahead and do that. So this is my top cut. And I do have some aerial roots that are forming here. So I'm gonna be sticking this whole thing into the perlite to continue letting this root. And then, so this is a dead node right here, and this is just free space. This is nothing. And I do have a node that could potentially activate here and here. So I will just stick this in the perlite as well, as long as this piece to hopefully root, and that way I can get like nodes to grow. So I have 2 wet sticks. So I'm gonna let those callus. So this is my stick I'm working with. And this is the one that had the worst roots. This stem is a little squishy, this chunk here. I don't see any new root growth yet. Take away some of this rot. Yeah, so I'm not left with much of a root system at all. It was all rotted. So I'm gonna stick this piece. It has one couple good little roots that could potentially root more on, but everything else is pretty much a goner on that one. I'm not gonna cut this or anything. If anything, I can cut here, and it does have some aerial roots. I could cut here and then just throw this chunk away, and then it will root here. But I'm hoping this will continue to root, and then I have a node here, 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 and here that could potentially activate since chopping this plant. So I'm just curious to see what this one's gonna do. So once these ends callus, I'm gonna give them like 30 minutes because the ends are pretty wet, and I don't wanna put that into wet perlite. But I'm gonna clean up this mess, let these callus, and then add them back in, and then I will give you like an overview at the end of what they all look like. And then my plan from here on out is they definitely need more time for roots to grow. I would say the Esqueleto was the only one that had a decent amount of like new roots forming. So that would be the only one I would consider potting into soil at this point. But I'm probably gonna give it another week and see what they look like. So I was hoping I could pot them up sooner, but I don't feel comfortable putting these into soil yet. So that is the plan. So I will be back in just a second. All right, I'm giving you guys another look. So everyone has been checked and put back into their home. And so I ended up adding the Scindapsus cutting prop back into the perlite there. So that will hopefully root in there. And then I added the Milano in there as well as the wet sticks. I just kind of laid them on top a little bit, like burying the node. So I'm gonna see how they root just in the perlite. Yeah, I'll just check on them every day. I've been coming out here and just, you know, checking the progress. And I imagine I'll probably have to give this some more water probably in a few more days since they did dry out pretty fast for me, but the perlite was still pretty wet, so I feel like it should be good for a few days. I think the next step will be potting them into soil. So I hope you enjoyed this little rehab session with me, and then this is going to be it for part 2. Part 3 is going to be me potting them into soil when they're ready for that. It could be another week, another 2 weeks or longer. It really just depends. I would like to get them out of perlite sooner than later, but I just felt like from today's experience, I just feel like they're not ready to be potted into a soil mix yet. If you have any other questions or anything, just let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all for part 3 soon.